A, our water department report. A, the wage trim monthly report is in your packet. B, discussion of purchasing water meters for the commercial district from Metron Farnier for various amounts depending upon meter size. C is discussion of purchasing a SCADA system for well system and main station. B, you have in your packet your report from the zoning administrator. C, you've got the planning commission minutes in your packet. D, zoning board of appeals minutes are also in your packet. Under building and grounds committee, E, we have a discussion of an inexpensive picnic table for Sunday Park on an interim basis. B, consideration of approval from a unified camera project in the amount of $1,778 to install a camera, recorder, and necessary cables for the fire department. And C, discuss the township property ends here, signage that we've talked about before for Sunday Park. F, the board review minutes are in your packet from the July meeting. G, the DDA minutes and director's report are in your packet. H, personnel committee, there has been no personnel committee meeting in the past month. I, the sewer project, we'll talk about an update there. J, the regional resource recovery minutes from June and July are in your packet. K, the elections commission meeting minutes are in your packet. And L, the fire department report is in your packet. And then M is the PEG commission. Under new business tonight, we have item A, consideration of approval for general cleaning service at the Nelson Street office monthly on the first and third Tuesday from True Shine Cleaning at a cost of $25 per day. B is consideration of approval to give a credit to David Krolchek in the amount of $79.30 for water usage because of discrepancy in inside and outside meter readings. C is consideration of approval of a resolution for Charter Township of Filer, Manistee County, regarding Michigan Legislature House Bill 6049 and Senate Bill 1025. D is consideration of approval in the amount of $6,360 per year to wage trim for quarterly water/sewer manual meter readings. E is consideration of approval for accounting firm Vanderwall, Sparrow and Richards, PC, to process bi-monthly payroll checks for approximately $100 per month. And F is consideration of approval of the sewer project draw number 7 in the amount of $790,000. Under old business, item A, we have consideration of approval to give a credit for water usage because of a broken meter in the amount of $18,748.81 to Manistee Wellness. If there are no other additions or deletions to the meeting agenda for tonight, I would consider a motion for approval. Motion by Hitchinski, support by Dean Cruz, to approve the meeting agenda for tonight. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Under the consent approval for tonight, we have item A, the minutes of the special board meeting held August 6th, 2018. B is the financial report. C is approval of the township general fund expenditures, including the fire department. Those checks are numbered 35753 through 35861, with accounts payable totaling $56,687.94, payroll totaling $14,712.38, for a grand total of $71,400.32. Item D is approval of water department expenditures, checks number 2498 through 2509, totaling $28,185.03. Item E is approval of sewer construction expenditure, check number 142 through 143, totaling $301,774.59. F is approval for planning commission members to attend the 2018 Citizen Planner 6-session program Benzie Government Center starting September 19th through November 7th of 2018 at a cost of $295 per person. G is approval for township fire officials and township board members to attend MTA Emerging Issues and Emergency Services in Frankenmuth on September 17th, 2018 at a cost of $113 per person. H is approval for Fire Department Appreciation Dinner to be held at the Filer Township Rec Center on October 14th, 2018 at a cost of $20 per person, catered by Zupin's Catering. I is approval of a budget amendment in the amount of $10,000 from fund balance of the general fund to Township Hall capital outlay. J is approval for board members to attend the MTA on the Road regional meeting to be held on October 29th, 2018 in Thompsonville at a cost of $113 per person.
I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the correction of item C. Checks 35752 through 35861, not 35752 through 35.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, motion by Wall, support by Stady to approve the consent agenda for tonight. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. That brings us to your communication from the MRA, fall soccer schedule. Unless you have comments or questions on that, we don't have anybody here from the MRA to assist with that. We'll move right on to presentation. So at this point, I guess I would like to introduce the four gentlemen in the back. Mike Hiller, you all know, our water operator, local. Andy Prime with Paradigm Electric, to talk about SCADA system. Patrick Gallagher with Wade Trim, also covering our water operations here. And then with him is Ryan, and I don't remember your last name.
Beaudry.
Pardon me?
Beaudry.
Beaudry? Okay, Ryan Beaudry. I'm sorry, my hearing's not the greatest. My senses are numbed. I had some major tooth stuff done this afternoon, and I'm still feeling the effects of the drugs. But anyway, these gentlemen are going to just give us a little more information on the SCADA system, what that is, what it entails, what it's capable of doing for us, why it's something that we need to begin thinking about and considering. There are a lot of municipalities that use SCADA out there already. Also, they'll be able to talk with us a little bit about the remote meter reads, and I did pass out to, I gave somebody a couple of copies of samples of, oh, they're right here, samples of the meters from Metron. I did give you all a copy of the price list on those meters based, as you can see, on meter size. So they'll talk about that, and then also maybe talk a little bit about monthly services. So at this point, I would be happy to turn it over to any one of you.
Okay, would you like to come up front, or?
Yeah. If you want to come up front, you can come up front, you can come to the podium.
Okay.
Some of us don't hear real well, so coming closer will be helpful.
And you guys jet in whenever you want. You want me at the podium, or?
Right here.
Right here?
Right here.
Oh, sweet.
Way the other way.
Can I get a name tag?
It's not yet.
I got another one here.
Give them all.
All right, I'll start with the SCADA system. The SCADA system monitors the water system for us. Okay, and we're actually able to monitor the water system from our cell phones. So in an emergency, we can check on our tank levels, our pressures, and what wells are running. An incident a couple Fridays ago when we had the contractor hit a water main, that is a perfect example where We could monitor the water system from our home. We could kick on a pump from our cell phones or our home computer and monitor the system until we get there. And a lot of times, you can remedy a problem right from your phone where we don't even have to come in. And like, we can monitor on weekends, any time of the day. Now, the current control system you have is very old, okay, and it's outdated. And it's hard to get parts for because most of the parts are, you can't find them. You have to get on like eBay or Craigslist to find some of the parts for the SCADA system. Basically, that's all I have on the SCADA system. Just the major advantage is you can monitor that wherever you're at. You know, let's say that main break was worse and, you know, we had a tower drain, we could have kicked on another pump right from our phones until we get here to isolate it.
That's referring to the, I don't know if everybody's aware that we had a water main break in front of Pizza Hut about 2 weeks ago. I wanna say.
July 18th. It was my birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on Mike's birthday, and of course, your supervisor was freaking out because I got the call from 911 at 7:02 p.m. as I was sitting on the patio, finally sitting down to relax, and the call came in. I wasn't going to answer the phone, but the 911, I better answer. And we got a water main break. Who do we need to call?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'll take care of it, don't worry, thank you. I called Mike, and of all the times I've called Mike, he either picks up or he calls me right back within 1 or 2 minutes, and he didn't pick up, and I, okay, he'll be calling me back, and I'm waiting, and finally, after about 5 minutes, I better get up there, so I headed up there, and Mike had gotten, what did he tell me, about 8 calls in a 20-minute period.
7 calls in 20 minutes when you're cutting the grass. You should be able to answer your phone when you're cutting the grass.
But
And
I
2 minutes.
get up there, and Mike pulled up shortly after, and I, of course, when I got there, I called Brian Sousa, and I don't know if Brian called you or what, but the next thing I'm getting a call from Patrick, and he's saying, I'm loading the truck now, what do you want for parts, what do you think you might need? And I don't know, I'll talk to Mike, and he came down there with the truck loaded, and, but that was a prime example where, like you say, mosquito.
Yes, you can monitor to see how bad it is, and all our alarms go through that SCADA system.
What's SCADA? Is that a brand name? Or?
It stands for, I can't remember what it stands
Well,
for.
the acronym slips my mind now, but basically all the SCADA is a programmed monitor. So it's, picture your computer screen at home. Basically all a programmer does is he puts certain symbols on that screen that always are there, like your 2 tanks, each of your wells, you know, your dialer system, all your I/O control is all based on that screen. So an operator can go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different screens and see exactly what's happening throughout that.
And they're all-
I'm gonna show it to you right
And
now.
that's the current system we have, but it's old and outdated.
Yeah, the current system that you have is probably, by my guess, 15 plus years old. And if I don't need to tell anybody about how quick computers go out of date. Well, the fact of the matter isn't that they don't work, it's that you can't get support from them. You can't get people, you can't get tech support, you can't get parts. And you guys are at that point now where, you know, you can't get either easily. And so it's time to consider upgrading and getting those things taken care of.
And Andy, that system that we have doesn't do all the things that
No, absolutely.
the
And,
current
yeah,
SCADA system will do.
absolutely. And technology, you know, it's came a long way in the last 15 years. And like these guys said, you can control a whole community with a cell phone nowadays. And you can monitor it, can give you alarms. We can send those alarms to multiple people. So if somebody's mowing the grass, can't hear that alarm, hey, you know, he didn't answer in 2 minutes, let's call the next guy on the dialer until we get somebody to answer this. And, you know, that can save the township a lot of money in repairs and boil water notices and all those things that nobody wants to go through in a township.
And that system, that's, if you've been in Mike's old office, you can see the panel there, and you can see the old paper roll, and
Yeah.
goes around and there's, you know, a graph is left of,
It shows elevations of the tank.
But if he, you know, he has to come in and look at that basically to tell what's going on, as I understand it.
And that doesn't work anymore, as far as I know, the graph is.
And
The
then-
graph doesn't work.
Yeah.
The graph, okay, the graph.
But our call out, our squat box does, our auto
Yeah.
dialer does now,
Right,
which we got fixed 2 days before the main break.
yeah,
So knowing that coming in, I never got a low level, so I knew that we were in good shape, but the call that I got was, actually I didn't get a call, I got a text from Patrick, said that they hit a 12-inch main. Well, I knew it wasn't 12 because 12 runs down Murky, 8-inch goes down the highway. So I knew where they were set up to put the box, and I knew it was an 8-inch. We can get it at low level, so I knew we weren't in trouble, which was really good. And they only popped a hole in it about the size of a tooth on one of the backhoes.
Mm-hmm.
So when I showed up, I knew it wasn't,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that moat was full, but it wasn't a real big deal. It was under control, but
What kind of pipe was that? Plastic
it's,
or?
no, we don't have any plastic. We have, that was ductile iron. It was put in 2000 to 2009. So it's newer ductile iron. But he was just pushing the dirt back, trying to find a phone line, and he just nudged it with that on the hose, you know, as big as a car head, so. But they've been doing a pretty good job. But we shut 3 valves off. He shut 1 off the 12-inch. I shut 2 off. It was enough to do the repair. I threw a Band-Aid on it, tightened the clamp, and we were done. Well, from when I showed up to when it was fixed, it was an hour and 10 minutes. But that's really good because the valves work. Manistee, about 60% of the valves don't work. So you gotta keep backing up, shutting more people off. So having those valves that work and knowing where they're at is very important.
and that brings us to another item we need, is a valve turner, right?
Yeah, and in fact, we do, but you can get one that runs on a 24 volt or 20 volt hand drill. You hook it up to the valve and you turn it with a hand drill.
Is there a program in the township where those are exercised every so often, all the valves?
There's a valve turning program.
Yeah, we have a valve turning program, but
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
luckily, most of the valves are from 1948 newer. The middle section is where the AC pipe is, which is transit pipe. It's between the highway and Filer City Road. It's all transit. But the rest of it's ductile iron, and it's in pretty good shape.
And going back to the SCADA system, the board in the old office there, if Mike wanted to do anything as far as turning anything on, he'd have to come into the office.
Mm-hmm.
to do
Or
it.
to the well house.
Yep.
Yes.
Or go to the well.
And if you got, let's just say, just for instance, if you gotta take a water sample, a raw water sample on one of the wells, well, instead of, I mean, you can, on your way to work, you can, if that well's not on, you can turn it on so it's running when you get there.
And that's so you get a clean tank.
Just so you get a clean sample.
And I think, when, a week or so ago, we were talking about SCADA, you were relating how just the night before, you had a situation up in Blair with a fire. You would share that with the board. I thought
Yeah,
that really-
we had a pole barn start on fire in Blair Township. Was that pole barn 100 by 60 or something? Big
Yep.
guy. And,
August 2nd.
right when I got the phone call, logged on, both my tanks were full, kicked on another pump because 2 were running, called the fire department, said you got plenty of water. And we can monitor the water usage during a fire. Like when, you guys remember the Jeans fire that happened last year?
Traverse City, the tire.
Remember that? Well, this right here, I was on it for the whole time watching my tanks drain with every pump on. And I could see there was a certain point where I would have had to call the fire department and say, you guys need to cut back or you're gonna drain the tanks. Well, that was very helpful because we were watching it right here, everything that was happening.
And you were on your way to work.
Yes.
You were on the way to the office because I was
Yes.
going to meet you there.
Yeah, and then for the whole barn fire, it's so nice, you can have an answer for those guys, you don't have to say, wait, I gotta go to the office, I gotta go in there and I'll call you in a minute.
And make sure.
And it is what it's what most municipalities are going to, is get SCADA system for water and wastewater. Like I've got my, both my lift stations on there too.
So you got tight like sensors in everything?
Yep. And it's what actually, with my wastewater system, we have air release valves. I think there's like 14 or 15 of them out in the system. And when that sewer force main gets gases in it, okay, we got a couple air release valves that aren't working properly, we gotta manually bleed them. And I can tell by those pump cycles, the length of the pump cycles in gallons per minute, if I'm getting air and I know I need to go bleed. And you can kind of pick up problems, like we can tell when the fire department gets on a fire hydrant. You'll see a little blip on that trending section.
Yeah, the trending map that he's talking about is what replaces that paper graph that you guys currently have here.
That first
And that's
thing.
good for recording, giving your, anything to the state or anything, if it's ever asked, that you can simply just go back in your computer log and go through the history, and you can, in 5 seconds, you can print out the last 2 or 3 years worth of data. And then you can track too. You can say, hey, this pump has always ran at this amount of time versus this pump. What's changed in the last 3 or 4 months? Do we have a well issue? Do we have a pump issue? It gives you a ton of information in order to be preemptive with your maintenance and issues.
No, for the gallons per, we wouldn't be able to do gallons per minute here because of the meters they have.
Oh, that's
Correct.
right. Yeah, they.
So that's the one thing we wouldn't be able to do is gallons per minute because of the meters that you have.
That's right.
We can't, those do not send out a signal for gallons per minute.
But that would be something they could add to this
You could add
system.
in the future.
Yeah.
Okay, did anyone have any questions
On SCADA,
on SCADA?
or does anybody want to see this, what it looks like? I should pass this around.
Patrick?
You saw
Did you put the SCADA system on the capital improvement program last year?
it? I don't remember. I'd have to look. It might be
I
in
don't
there.
think so,
I don't think it is either.
because I was looking at it.
But as we put more of these all over the place, then you could do them.
Yeah,
It's
well,
in there though?
It's in there.
you guys are at the point now where each of your well sites, you have basically what you have, the system currently basically has the motherboard, or the main computer system, and then it has what we call remote I/O units in each of the well houses. So those are kind of the slave units that report back to the main board. So you guys are at that point where that whole system really needs to be upgraded, because you can't, a newer system won't communicate with the older systems in the well houses. So you guys are at that point where, you'd have to upgrade all the components as far as the PLC, the programmable logic controller. But your sensors, your radio systems, we've determined, those are still in okay shape. And those are easy to get, we can still get those off the shelf. So if they do go bad, we'll just replace them, at that time instead of, with the current upgrade idea, you wouldn't have to do it all at one time.
And we did put that on the assess management. I added that plus a generator for Red Apple Tower. So that is on there.
And if it goes well here tonight, is that your intention to put it on to the capital improvement plan?
Yeah.
The
Oh, yeah.
planners will look at in September,
Yeah.
and you get it all together by then?
Yeah, absolutely. And would we be able to tie that into the altitude valve to open and close that from the SCADA?
Oh, yeah,
See,
absolutely.
that's,
Yeah.
if that screen fails,
There's an altitude valve because this tower is
You can
shorter
just
than
shut-
Red Apple.
avoid the Philo City Tower from overflowing. Because if that screen plugs or something gets in there and it plugs, it doesn't close.
And then this is gonna fill and overflow.
It overflows, yeah.
Is there more than one vendor?
For SCADA,
Yeah.
You can reach out and put this out for, request for proposal. There's companies all over the state of Michigan. I've kind of touched a little bit on that. One thing, if you decide to put this out for bid, there's a few things that you should consider. One, many times that program is proprietary. So if you get a contractor that's from way out of town, let's say, and he comes in and he builds your system, there's a good chance I wouldn't be able to help you if there's an event, because I wouldn't have that access into that program. You would be required to contact that contractor and get him back here to make those repairs or to help you with that entity. Now, that doesn't mean all contractors do that, but that is it's a common thing that you have to be prepared for. So it's service. It's like anything else, you know, it's service after the sale. You got to make sure it's going to be there for you. But yeah, there's plenty of people out there that can do it for you. One of the things, if you put it out for bid, you guys would probably need to prepare for some engineering, because you're going to want your system built the way you're going to want it. You're going to want it built so that wave trim can you know, comfortably, you know, take care of it for you. And so, you know, with that, you're going to have added costs for engineering and you know, scope and all that good stuff as well. So, contractor like myself, there's many out there that they can do the engineering themselves. You don't need to do it that way if you utilize a contractor that can do that part of it for you. It's called a design build project. But with that, you could get 6 different types of projects for your certain system. So you never know what you're going to get until it's in. You really have to make sure you're communicating with whoever does the work and make sure you get what you're needing.
Make sure it's apples to apples, you know.
It's really hard. It's really hard to get apples to apples. It doesn't mean somebody else can't do it. I mean, that would be.
Yeah.
But one would be cell phone technology.
Yeah.
The other one would be just computers.
Mhm.
It wouldn't be available for the cell phone.
And Andy's got a good point. If that SCADA does go down, we're operating manually the water system, turning pumps on, monitoring tanks until whoever comes and fixes it.
Yeah.
And he's local. He's answered our phone calls in the middle of the night every single time.
What's the
And
cost,
he's always here
We
within.
don't know.
estimated cost,
What's
rough
the
cost?
estimated cost?
I can tell you right now, numbers are coming in around $50,000. That's without engineering. Engineering costs, I would guesstimate somewhere between $15,000 and $25,000 for a project like this, if you put it up for engineering.
Mhm.
So, that value engineering, not needing to do that,
Mhm.
sometimes, you know, the engineering in my mind is to put a project out for proposal, so you can get that competitive bid. But a lot of times your competitive bid's only gonna be different by maybe $3,000 or $4,000, where if you're spending that engineering dollar to get that competitive bid, you know, you kind of can see where that's going. You know, but I'll just leave that at that. But we're happy to do whatever.
Andy's familiar with the system, and I can't think of the control guy's name.
Brian.
Right.
Brian, he's also familiar with the system.
Yeah, anytime I've called Andy, I've known him since he was 20 years old. Anytime I call him, he's here in from 20 minutes to half an hour.
Mhm.
And it's 1 o'clock in the morning or midnight, 4 in the afternoon. If he's doing something that he can just say, hey, I gotta go. And he usually uses us for a priority. And that's why he's my guy. I have a lot of trust in him. In 20 minutes, I'll be there from Bear Lake, 20 minutes, half an hour. I'll wake him up at 4 in the morning and say, hey, Andy, I got problems. He'll be there. And 20 years, I've more than that, probably 22 years. I've been able to call him when I was working at the city. So it's always a good thing. It's a networking that now they're using him up in Blair Township, and you know, just for his expertise, he can refer people to him. And just like Richard Gillian, I got his cell phone number, and Bill and I can call Richard and say, hey, you got problems with electrical. So it's a good networking, and I've got him on speed dial. Whether they appreciate it or not, I don't know.
When
But
something gets whacked by lightning and
yeah,
you don't have anything to tell your pump's on but your finger on the dial.
But
And your control system, for me as an operator, I got 3 fears: water main breaks, bad water samples, and a control system that pukes. Because I operated Blair Township before they got this for 15 days manually, straight, 15 days. I did it through manual operating system.
turning pumps on and off and going to the towers and the towers read out in pressure.
So
And
you
you
got
gotta,
your calculation and, yes, and you're responsible for that water not to go dry in the water main. But anyways, it's a great system. It's up to you guys if you want to get it or not. It's a big help. Controls are very important. And the DEQ would actually be very, very, very pleased. Because they're big on controls
The
too.
DEQ about this whole system?
Scott Conradson's brought that up and talked about it
Mhm.
in the past, right?
their concerns.
Yeah.
Yeah, they recommendations, they're not really in the business.
They
to-
can't make you get a new skater, but they recommend
Fine.
it.
Yeah.
And because then if something, if they recommend it and you don't do it, then they can say, well, we told you to do it, your control system went out, and your water, and your pipes went dry.
Well, and I know with some of the other types of things that they have told us that we needed to do with our water system, going back 4 or 5 years now, you know, he basically said, we can't require you to do that, we can't force you to do that, but if you don't, you're not gonna be eligible, for example, for grants, different things like that.
Smaller stuff like eye wash systems, where I'm installing them in the wells right now. He made a recommendation to install eye wash systems because of, if you get chlorine in your eyes, you gotta have a way of flushing them out. And they gotta be hooked to the potable water through a little fountain. So I bought one for each one of the wells, and it also needs a shower head, so I bought shower heads for them. But it's, anybody that walks into that well house, you're in danger of getting chlorine in your eyes, and you can lose your sight from it. But he made recommendations, highly recommended, but on the same token, I said Manistee doesn't have it. Why are you asking a small municipality to do it when Manistee doesn't have it? And he said, well, I get that, but you know, this is what we're recommending. So we bought them, purchased them, and I'm installing them now. So we're way ahead of that, but I mean, it's all a good thing, but
And something like that only takes one accident, you know,
Yeah.
and one person lose their eyesight. You can
Pinhole
why
leak in
didn't we do
the
that for this
plastic
whole
pipe.
time?
the first thing you do is you smell the chlorine when you walk in the building. So I'm used to being able to smell that, but it's a pinhole leak and be shooting 6, 7, 8, 12 feet. And it's a really tiny pinhole. So if you walked in there, you gotta have your safety glasses on. But if it hits you in the eye, you'd have to go right to the eye wash to get them washed out. They want 2 minutes of continuous flushing. So,
Okay, any other questions on the SCADA system? Okay, want to talk about remote meter
Yep,
reads?
absolutely. Do you guys all have the price sheet
Yeah.
for the Vectron meters? Okay. These Metron farming meters, I'll pass them around. Pass this one around. That's a 5/8 by 3/4 residential. I believe you guys are talking about going just commercial first.
Commercial for now.
Okay. And you got the prices for those. These meters come with a 10-year warranty and a 10-year free self-service for the township, because it's all on a cell signal.
A piece of crap here, this is 300 some bucks.
That's $345.
It's for what's in the head.
And those meters right there are, they're very accurate meters. They're actually European meters, which they're very concerned about water usage over there, wasting water. That's where those came from. A lot of the new water meters are plastic. They're getting away from the metal because of lead contamination. People are freaked out about that, but I've had no problems with those. What they do, they read on a cell signal. The meters can be read at any moment from a computer. You can also monitor those on your cell phone. There's no remote wires that go outside the house that are required. You put the meter in, you walk away, and you can actually pull up on the computer and start seeing the people's water usage. And it actually takes an ambient temperature twice a day. Like in the wintertime, you can actually set alarms on these where if it gets too cold temperature, it'll send you an alarm. High usage, you can set an alarm if you want to go on vacation. You can set an alarm if you're using over 200 gallons a day to send you a text.
Now,
And
we
it-
don't sell those, a company that he's
I
got,
don't sell them, I
he
just put
purchases
them in
them.
Blair.
Yeah.
That's what
He has
they got
them in
there, and
Blair.
I've had 4 different meters in Blair, and that by far is the best, most accurate meter that I've had.
Are those installed indoors?
Indoors, yes. If they're out, well, we have them under trailers, they heat tape them, they put heat tape on.
We run a bigger one, right?
Those are not American made. I think they're made in Europe.
Yeah. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Now, the commercial one for our commercial district's a little bit bigger.
Yes.
What size do they have there?
Where?
In the commercial
Our
district?
They're
commercial.
all district sizes.
Yeah, like what's the majority of
The commercial district, anywhere from 1 to 2 inch.
Yeah.
But,
No
got
more
a
than
couple of
2 inch.
threes?
yes, there are a couple of 3s.
And you can see the cost goes up significantly with the size of the meter.
And what's been the cost of this? Does the
Huh?
township have to purchase these, or would the person,
You mean
the
homeowner?
business, who would purchase
The
these?
township would have to.
Yeah.
The reason I say that is because when they get a tap and they put a service line in, say, from the shut off into the building, they pay for that tap and they pay for the meter when they get the water line put in. So the meter's paid for. All you're doing is replacing the meter. So
So
replacing
there
the
would be-
meter,
There would be one meter, this one only. There wouldn't have to be one outside anymore and one inside.
right.
You're talking about the little remote thing. No, it's just that right there.
You
That's
put the
it.
meter in and walk away.
Put it in and walk away.
Actually, isn't it, Patrick, isn't it that the homeowner can actually bring up,
Yeah,
on their cell
water
phone,
can log
their
into
usage.
the water scope, they can go in there and look at.
they can
the
see if
meter.
you've got a leak and you can download the app and read your own water meter from, say, Grand Rapids.
Just like you do with consumers, with your consumers.
Yep.
Energy usage now.
And
Do that.
there's no cost on setup for that either. They come in and they'd set you guys up, and that download, you guys got BSNA? That downloaded to BSNA.
And Tammy can bring up
No,
anybody's,
we don't have BSNA water billing. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
No, we have fund balance.
Oh, okay. I'd have to check and see if that would, I'm sure it
It's
would.
the same software that the city has.
yes,
It's called fund balance?
Right.
Any value to the old meters?
there always is. Oh yeah, there's municipalities that would buy them from you.
Scrap, well, it all depends if they're the NF61 lead
Right.
free. If they're the old ones, they just be
The
scrap.
old ones are scrapped out, the newer ones, say in the last 5 years, can be sold to another municipality. Say, a smaller municipality or other places still want them.
Would this eliminate the quarterly, $6,300 a week?
Yep, nobody has to go and get a read. And if any resident questions, say, well, I didn't use that much water. Well, what you do, it trends, just like the SCADA system. You go back, it trends their water, it tells you how many gallons per minute they're using at 1 a.m. or 5 a.m. It's a little chart, little line that goes. And you can say, well, it looks like you might have a toilet leak because you ran like, 0.2 gallons a minute all night long. You see the little line there. Or you can say, it looks like you were irrigating for about 8 hours there. Maybe you were,
Yeah,
because people won't tell you they irrigate
yeah.
or that they got a toilet leak. With this, you got a little ammo, like we just went to a guy's house in Blair the other day and I thought we were gonna get shot. It's like, I don't know what to tell you, you use a lot of water, the meter is accurate,
But Tammy would
This
be
is the
able to,
third time in 3 years this guy's had it.
Tammy would be able to download it right at the hall here, and she'd be able to say, anybody call up and say, can you get a read? She could plug their address in and get a read right off the computer.
Instantly.
And sometimes that's important when there's.
It's very important.
There's no rereads, there's no going traipsing around
Yep.
the yards, nothing.
Yeah.
There's no argument with the customer.
Well, it's not really the argument. We don't get in too many arguments. It's
We just try to explain to them that,
Well,
toilet leaks is notorious for high water usage.
yeah.
We've had a few that we're looking at now because something went wrong. If you had this type of meter, the problem would have never went
But,
wrong.
Never.
but these kinds of things are very, very rare that we have these kinds of problems that we have out here on the agenda today.
And it's what she just got done talking about. The outside remotes were digital, where they click like a clock. And if that breaks, the inside one's still working. But it's not
Yeah,
sending
that's-
it, it's not getting it, so it's not
Yeah,
registering.
your actually outside remotes will start reading slower.
That's a-
Most of the time, they will read slow.
Or shut, or completely.
I've never had one read fast, and we had all Badger remotes and Blair, the ones that click, they'll actually start reading slower. The older the meter gets, generally, the more inaccuracies it gets, it doesn't register otherwise.
Then when we get in to change it out because it has the old meter and the remote, we have to change both and the wire. And they get a catch-up bill. I keep the meters, put tape on them and write the address down. And make sure, and the date that we did it, and make sure, and just like the one below the hill across the street from you, Badabunker, he had a high water bill. It was because there were so many quarters in between that there wasn't an actual read. So she was estimating that it would end up being low. And Manistee went to a monthly. This way you could do monthly. So, because it catches a lot of stuff. Catches the leaks. Most of the time it's toilet. 99% of the time it's a toilet.
Yeah. Or somebody left the irrigation on overnight.
Yep.
Yeah. But if you notice, that's a single jet meter, there's not many moving parts in there. And in that axle, that pin that you see in there, actually when the impeller starts to spin, it actually raises up on a little point. So it reduces friction just on that little axle, you know what I'm saying? I love them.
It doesn't take much water to move it. That's the nice thing about it.
No.
You blow on it from back here, you can hear the meters.
And it'll you try it blowing in that thing will spin while it's sitting on your desk.
And is, we were replacing residential meters. We were ordering so many every so often and replacing with upgraded meters. Is this something that if we want to go this route, we could do, say, order, how many commercial in the commercial district, how many meters do we have to be installing?
Well, there's 432
Total.
customers. I'm gonna guess there's probably between 40 and 50
Okay,
of your commercial, but that's
So-
PCA, Martin Marietta,
yeah, yeah,
family
that
home.
includes the industry, but if we just did the commercial district, could we do, instead of doing the whole shebang in 1 year, could we do
Oh,
That's what we're doing in Blair. We're
That's-
slowly trickling in.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're just replacing them with the Metrons, and any new business gets a Metron meter. I just ordered about 25 of them today.
did Metron buy Michigan meter out?
I don't know. And I don't
No,
get a
Ferguson,
kickback on this, just so you guys know, it does not matter to me.
Ferguson
I've
bought
worked with
one.
4 different meters, and that by far is my favorite one right there.
We have a lot of trailers in Blair and a lot of employees.
Yes.
I'm proactive in the winter and I'll log on every day to
Yeah,
the
you
actual
have every day
website.
checking meters.
And I will check to see if there's low leaks, high usage, intermittent leaks. It'll tell you anything. Like I said, you can pull up the temperature of the water. So if I know I got -20 on the water, I got an issue. And, within, 24 hours we resolve a month's worth of water waste.
Yeah.
I'm out there, I fix it within a day, and the customer's not complaining at the end of the month, well, why did I use 2,000-3,000 gallons
Yes.
of water? So,
Patrick,
Yes.
tell us how this would work. We're going to have some people on the new system and some on the old.
Yes.
So we would have several years of running 2 different kinds of
Yep.
ways.
And I mean, it all depends, if you're gonna do residentials, if you wanna do 50 at a time, 75 at a time, 100 at a time, 100 meters would be $34,500. If you wanted to go 100 a year, or spread it out 75 a year, do your commercials your first year, then start doing maybe 75 or 100 residential a year, you could do it that way. But I have 3 different meters in Blair right now, huh?
While you're doing this, we're having some meter readings coming in here at Tammy right away,
Yep.
and then others that are still going to have to be read and
Rereads, yep, and I would suggest start in a section, do Oak Hill first, don't go all over
Do
the
an
place.
area.
Pick little zones, get little maps, choose where I wanna start. Pick 50 homes or 75 and go from there.
and
So
you
you
can
wanna
let
all
them
be
know,
one after the other when you're installing
and you can let them know you're coming, or set up an appointment with them and get them done. You can, and I can, if all we're doing is taking the old meter out and taking the remote off and wiring. You can be in and out of there in 20 minutes and change the meter.
Yeah. They are very easy to install, and that's, you said something about the cost. I don't know what you guys are paying for the new meter and remote, but I know when you add the meter cost and the remote cost, it's very similar to that.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Because I know it's within $5 of our iPearls in that one with the MXU. And we have problems every month with our MXUs in Blair Township, every month.
My idea with the water meters would be to try to do the commercial first, because they're the guys that we're gonna have sewer problems
Yep.
with. And
Exactly.
if the bill gets screwed up on the water end, the sewer's gonna be also.
You know what, you are very correct, and that's, you could avoid a lot of phone calls with your own, because because now that they're being billed their sewer from the water usage, and you're gonna want accuracy on those meters too, you know? So,
You say around 50 or 60, Mike?
What's that?
Tammy probably has a list of.
Probably between 40 and 50 for the commercial.
Okay.
Well, how many
Now, that's
backflow
all.
inspections are there?
What's that?
How many backflow inspections do we got? Could my report
21.
tell you? 21, then there's 21 commercial buildings.
21.
And that's all you need, is the building. You're
But
not
that's
gonna-
all high hazard.
Those are all high hazard.
Those are all high hazard. I'll get you a rough number. I got the cross control.
I think there's 44, but I didn't want to say exact.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And now you're getting sprinkling meters installed because they recognize that they're going to be a cost savings with the
Yes.
sewer, put a sprinkling meter in because they don't want to be, you don't want to be charged for sewage on what you're putting on your grass.
But they could probably pay for the sprinkling
They
meter.
would
You
Yes.
could probably-
Yes.
Mhm.
The customer would pay for the other meter.
Yes, the customers are. We're buying them and they're paying for
For the
them.
irrigation meter,
If they want them, that's what they have.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's very important that you have the good accurate reading on your water, because it does flow right to the sewer.
Yep. And you know, I don't know, how old are the meters here? The old,
The Neptunes?
yes.
So you don't have any T8s, so T8s are 30 years old.
And you're looking at, I mean, you know, you may put these Metrons in and people are gonna go, whoa! You know, they've been getting a deal for how many years? You know?
Well, it's like the iPros over there, they'll run for a minute before they even register water.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Our old iPro, we did a test with those meters and our other meters. Those were a lot more accurate. And our iPro, they didn't even start registering sometimes for 1 minute what water flowing.
So that
So if a guy was turning on water, he wasn't even getting registered for the water.
and with the commercial district now,
Oh,
we're gonna
definitely.
be billed by the city
Yes.
for the amount of sewage that we send,
Mm-hmm.
the amount of wastewater that we send to the city, we're gonna be billed for that, and if our water meters are not reading accurately, we're not billing them accurately. If we're billing them under, it's gonna end up costing the township money.
The old
This
meters,
goes something like this. And one plumber put it in like this, our meter,
yeah.
not like this.
Right.
So that was.
It's in the, well, some meters, if they're not level, it throws their accuracy off. That one, you can throw it in upside down. I
That
wouldn't, but you know what I'm saying?
No, that's what we have to-
I wanna go read it.
They have to say, this is our meter, this is what you're gonna put in.
That was Central Wellness. As soon as I walked in,
Yeah.
they were both, one was on the wall this way, one was this way, and that was the inaccuracy right there. But the older meters had to be within between 3 and 5% accuracy. The ones we're buying now, the Neptunes, are within 1%.
Mhm.
You have to, and most of them are right at that 100% efficiency. They're at 99, 99.5, 100%. So it shows you right on the tag that's on it, the accuracy of the meter. So they have to be, but you're right, you're correct, because you're gonna lose revenue
Mhm.
if you don't have accurate meters.
Mhm. Exactly.
Do you know what the accuracy is right now with the old meters? I mean, is there like a trend?
A water, we don't do the water loss.
Because you guys
I know
may
what you're
find
saying.
the
You
revenue
compare
gain,
bill to pumped,
the revenue gain from the new